Every tragedy begins somewhere ordinary. A short drive through familiar streets, a casual decision made without much thought, a routine moment that feels insignificant at the time. But when those moments intersect with recklessness, distraction, or miscalculation, the consequences can be permanent. What follows are 5 true events from around the world. Each one unfolded differently. Each one ended abruptly, and each one left behind lives forever changed. Story 1. In April, a quiet residential area of Hialeah became the scene of a devastating crash that would claim multiple lives. Late that night, a 15-year-old boy, later identified by police as Michael Santiesteban, took his family's SUV without permission. He was accompanied by friends, and according to investigators, the group had no specific destination. It was meant to be a brief joyride. Neighborhood surveillance cameras tell the rest of the story. Footage shows the SUV accelerating rapidly through narrow residential streets, passing parked cars and intersections at extreme speeds. Police later confirmed the vehicle was traveling at more than 80 miles per hour in a 30-mile-per-hour zone. The speed left no margin for error. Moments later, the SUV collided with a sedan carrying multiple members of the same family. The impact was catastrophic. Emergency responders arrived to find both vehicles heavily damaged. 2 women inside the sedan were pronounced dead at the scene. Another family member suffered critical injuries and was hospitalized for months before eventually dying from complications related to the crash. 3 lives were lost. The teenage driver survived and was arrested. Prosecutors charged him as an adult, citing the prolonged reckless driving and the clear danger posed to the public. In court, surveillance footage and vehicle data played a central role in establishing the severity of the conduct. What began as a thrill-seeking drive ended in irreversible loss and long-term consequences for everyone involved. Story 2. The next story takes place in southwest Russia and centers on a moment of fatal misjudgment. A man named Alexander Chechik, known to friends as Sasha, was spending time with acquaintances when he came into possession of a live hand grenade. According to police reports, Chechik removed the safety pin from the device and began posing for photographs while holding it. He sent the images to friends through messaging apps, treating the moment casually. Investigators later stated that Chechik did not appear to believe the grenade would detonate immediately. Authorities suspect he may have assumed the device required additional time to explode, or that it would only detonate after being thrown. That assumption proved fatal. The grenade exploded while still in his hand, killing Chechik instantly. Emergency services arrived at the scene but were unable to render aid. During the investigation, police discovered that Chechik had previously shared other photographs involving explosives, suggesting a pattern of risky behavior rather than an intentional act. As a result, authorities classified his death as accidental. The incident stands as a stark reminder that explosive devices offer no room for error. A moment of overconfidence and a misunderstanding of danger ended a life without warning. Story 3. Some tragedies do not end with clear answers. In May of 2018, 21-year-old Sophia McKenna, a University of Connecticut student, went out on the water with her friend, Spencer Mugford. The two launched a small sailboat from Groton, Connecticut, heading toward the New London Ledge Lighthouse, a well-known structure at the mouth of the Thames River. The boat was small and lacked a mast, but the trip appeared casual and uneventful. During the early morning hours, Sophia and Spencer posted photos and short videos to social media. These posts would later become the last confirmed record of their journey. They never returned. The following day, authorities located the overturned hull of the sailboat washed ashore in New York. A large-scale search effort began immediately, involving boats, aircraft, and multiple agencies. Days later, Spencer Mugford's body was recovered from the water. The cause of death was consistent with drowning. Sophia McKenna was never found. Despite extensive searches and years passing, her disappearance remains unresolved. Investigators have cited strong currents, cold water, and limited visibility as contributing factors, but no definitive explanation has ever been confirmed. For Sophia's family, the absence of answers has become a lasting burden. Story 4. Our fourth story unfolded in a residential building in Hangzhou and was captured almost entirely on surveillance footage. A 2-year-old girl, publicly referred to by the nickname Little Cherry, was under the care of her nanny. The two entered an elevator together, with the child riding a small scooter. As the doors opened, the nanny, distracted by her mobile phone, exited the lift and pushed the scooter out ahead of her. She briefly glanced back, assuming the child was following. She was not. The elevator doors closed and the lift began moving upward. When the nanny realized the child was still inside, she attempted to stop the doors using the scooter, but the elevator had already begun its ascent. The lift traveled to the 8th floor. At some point after exiting the elevator alone, the toddler fell from the building, suffering fatal injuries. Police were notified, and the footage quickly became central to the investigation. The incident sparked widespread public discussion about caregiver responsibility, elevator safety, and the dangers of momentary distraction. Story 5. The Man Who Tried to Disappear. The final story takes us to County Sligo, Ireland, and begins with a man who arrived with almost nothing that could identify him. On June 12, 2009, a tall, thin older man stepped off a bus in Sligo after traveling from Derry. Investigators later determined he had taken that route, but how he entered Ireland before reaching Northern Ireland was never established. That evening, he checked into the Sligo City Hotel and registered under the name Peter Bergman. Hotel staff later recalled that he spoke with what sounded like a German or Austrian accent. He paid in cash, offered no identification, and provided an Austrian address that turned out not to exist. Over the next few days, he moved through Sligo with a quiet, deliberate routine. When detectives later reviewed hotel CCTV, they noticed something consistent and unsettling. The man left the hotel repeatedly carrying a full purple plastic bag, and each time he returned, the bag was gone. Across those outings, he appeared to be systematically disposing of his belongings, but he did it in a way that avoided capture. Whatever he threw away was never recovered, and nothing on camera revealed what the bag contained. He also left behind small, confusing traces. At one point, he purchased stamps at the local post office, but investigators never confirmed any letters or packages being sent. He took what appeared to be a reconnaissance trip by taxi to Ross's Point Beach, asking for a quiet beach where he could swim. The taxi driver later described dropping him off there, then bringing him back into town. Then, just days after he arrived, the story ended. In the early hours of June 16, 2009, the man's body was found on Ross's Point Beach. At first, it was assumed he had drowned, but an autopsy revealed something different. Investigators concluded he had a terminal illness and suffered a heart attack on the beach, not a drowning. That discovery raised a question investigators have never been able to answer. How does someone plan so carefully to erase their identity, to dispose of their possessions, to leave behind almost no trace of who they are, and then die in a way that appears sudden and unplanned? For months, authorities waited for someone to come forward. They circulated CCTV images across Ireland and beyond. No family member, no friend, no coworker, no one came forward to claim him. In September 2009, he was buried in Sligo in a grave that remained unmarked. The Irish Times, even now, the man known only as Peter Bergman remains unidentified. And the most disturbing part of the case is not simply that he died unknown. It is that, for several days, he moved through a busy town on camera, in plain sight, leaving behind a trail of deliberate actions, and yet managed to succeed at the one thing he appeared to have come to Ireland to do: disappear. These events occurred in different countries, under different circumstances, involving people who never knew one another. Yet they are connected by a single truth. Life can change in an instant, sometimes through reckless choices, sometimes through simple distraction, sometimes through events that still defy explanation. What remains are the consequences, carried by families, communities, and those left searching for answers. Thank you for watching. For more content like this and much more, please subscribe to Weird Wild Stories. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and as always, stay weird.